This is the Hunt for Xbox Hackers, Ontario.
This is David Pecora. He's 22 years old, has shoulder-length blonde hair, and studies computer science. His online names are Xenon and Xenomega. He's part of the Xbox community, tweaking consoles and creating cheats for games like Halo and Call of Duty.
Cheating, okay then.
Right now, he has an annoying
I
problem.
guess cheating is the hobby.
The bumper of his car is broken, and the dealer refuses to ship the parts to Canada. So he asks his friend Justin, who lives in the US, if he can order the new bumper to his house. They met each other years ago on the internet. Justin lives in Wilmington, about an 8-hour drive away. David's plan is to drive there, get the bumper, maybe grab something to eat together, and head back home. His dad offers to tag along so they can take turns driving. They take the family car.
Volkswagen.
About an hour later, David and his dad get to the border. The US border officer checks their passports. He's about to wave them through when he sees a strange name on his display. "What's Xenon?" the officer asks.
It's just a noble gas.
David flinches. That's his online name. But why on earth does it pop up here at the passport control? Two figures in dark uniforms approach the vehicle. They pull their weapons and tell him to step out of the car. David gets arrested. He walked right into a trap. The thing is, David may have done more than tweaking consoles and coding cheats.
You're doing illegal stuff.
The FBI has been after him for years. He's part of a hacker gang that will become known as the Xbox Underground. They are responsible for an unprecedented series of cyber attacks on some of the biggest tech firms on the planet. They stole
all of these companies.
thousands of login credentials, heisted the source code of unpublished games, and hacked into confidential US military simulations. They didn't do it on behalf of some government agency. Sometimes they didn't even make money with it. They were just a bunch of teenagers.
Interesting. And just do it for passion.
This entire story is based on the fabulous Wired article and a double episode of the highly recommendable podcast, Darknet Diaries. You'll find the links in the description. David was always destined to become a hacker. He's still in elementary school when he builds his own little web browser. He simply teaches himself how to code. In 2001, David's world and that of countless other kids changes forever. The OG Xbox is released.
For the first time, let me now unveil Xbox.
Back then, the Xbox marks a technological milestone, a bunch of high-end hardware packed into a massive black casing. The black and green dashboard and the ridiculously oversized controller kind of give off nuclear reactor vibes. It's a completely new aesthetic at the time. David gets one and hopelessly falls in love with Halo. But he's not just a passionate gamer, he's fascinated by the Xbox's tech. He becomes part of the fast-growing online community of like-minded nerds. They crack their consoles and get their own software running. They stream music, install Linux, and even manage to boot up Nintendo games. David is extremely talented and quickly gains cred in the scene. He starts writing programs for Halo that let you tweak the physics or even the weather in the game. Then, in 2005, the Xbox 360 drops and changes everything. Again. Microsoft learned from its mistakes and bolstered the console's security. To hack the new Xbox, you need a development kit. That's a special console with extra features, just for developers. These dev kits are incredibly hard to get. Developers need to be verified by Microsoft to have one. For everyone else, they're strictly off limits.
Yeah, but how do he get it?
It takes a while, but eventually a few dev kits start popping up online. Someone has found thousands of them at a recycling yard. Microsoft must have tried to trash them, but now someone is making money by selling them. In 2008, David acquires several of these dev kits for himself and resells a few. This is how he meets Justin May, his buddy from Wilmington. Online, Justin goes by MTW. The dev kit gives David access to PartnerNet, a closed platform where Xbox developers upload test versions of their games. He spends his nights scouring PartnerNet, posting screenshots of unreleased games and making a name for himself in online forums. He starts showing up late to school. His grades are slipping. But he thinks, what if this is my ticket to a career in game development? In 2010, David catches the attention of a guy named Dylan Wheeler. Dylan is 14 and lives in Perth, Australia. He has long brown hair and is in the middle of puberty. He loves a good thrill and got into hacking early on. In high school, Dylan got suspended for hacking into the school's network. But he doesn't like to be told what to do, so he hacked the network again and got suspended again. He is fascinated by what David and others are doing with the Xbox and wants in on the action, so he signs up to the Xbox hacking forum. His online moniker is Superday. That same year, 2010, another Xbox 360 dev kit ends up in the hands of Sanad Nishayawat. Sanad is 24, lives in Washington, New Jersey, and is a true tech enthusiast. He started gaming by 8. By 12, he was taking apart entire consoles. His room is packed with electronics. His desk is covered by a soldering iron, an oscilloscope, and all sorts of electronic parts. He dives into the Xbox scene and calls himself Sonic. It's an incredibly exciting time for David, Justin, Dylan, Sanad, and many others. PartnerNet is an absolute goldmine. They get to play new games months before their release, completely free of charge. But at some point, they start getting into trouble with real developers on the platform. In 2009, David finds a way to use cheats for the brand new Call of Duty game. He sets up a server and charges users for using his cheats. $100 per 30 minutes. Players can walk through walls and fire without ever missing
30 minutes
a shot.
only.
The cheat business is a huge success. David quickly makes up to $8,000 a day. He takes his girlfriend to fancy restaurants
I will actually like this.
and stays in luxury hotels. Activision, the developer behind Call of Duty, catches wind of David's scheme. They send him cease and desist letters and threaten to sue. But David doesn't respond. They're just video games, he thinks. It's not like he's hacking into servers and stealing information. Well, not yet. The Xbox Underground story is so insane, it would definitely deserve its own website. You know who also deserves their own website? You. A portfolio site is a great way to present yourself and your skills. There are many tools to accomplish just that, but none quite like Odoo's website builder. Start by setting up the structure of your site, add pages and features, choose your color palette, and pick your theme. Then simply drag and drop blocks to add content, like your recent work. You can customize each block, add images, animations, etc. No need to worry about text either. Odoo has integrated ChatGPT to assist you with any copywriting. It really couldn't be easier, and everything looks polished and works like a charm. You also get a custom domain free for the first year, along with unlimited hosting and support. And Odoo is so much more, an all-in-one management platform that helps you manage all your business needs under one roof. So when your business grows, Odoo's got tons of apps to help, like CRM, sales, and marketing. Check out Odoo at fern.deal/Odoo and start building your own website for free. One night, Dylan gets a message from an online friend named GamerFreak1727. It contains a list of usernames and matching email addresses and passwords, all taken from a forum run by game developer Epic Games. At the time, Epic is mostly known for Unreal Tournament and Gears of War. Dylan checks the list and finds the login credentials of an IT employee at Epic Games. He wonders if that person uses the same password on other sites. He tries to log in to the employee's Gmail account, and it works. He combs through the inbox and finds another password, admin060606. It gives him access to an internal network at Epic Games. Dylan sends David a message to tell him about his find. David is hooked. One of the servers are hosting unreleased games. He knows that what they're doing is illegal, so he sets himself some limits. No looking at customer data or credit card information. He's only interested in the games. David and Dylan spend months rummaging through the Epic servers on the hunt for anything interesting. And sure enough, they eventually find something, an early build of Gears of War 3, complete with source code. They can't believe their luck. They're on the verge of playing one of the most anticipated games of the year, months before anyone else. They message Sanad to let him in on their discovery. He has a hacked modem at home that lets him cover up his IP address, so he can download the game without getting caught. Sanad logs into Epic's network and grabs the files. It's hundreds of gigabytes of data.
Nice.
He stays up all night until the download finally completes. He's too excited to go to sleep. He burns the data onto 8 Blu-rays and mails them to David. He writes the words wedding videos on the package.
And then start selling them.
David receives the package and tries the game. The build is still pretty raw. a lot of the textures are missing. It's not really playable at this stage. David sends the game to the others, including Justin.
Unfinished.
Just a few days later, the game appears online as a public download. The leak
Pirate
makes
Bay.
headlines everywhere.
Last week, Gears of War 3 was leaked on the web. Gears developer Epic Games confirmed that this is not the final build of the game and warned people that downloading the title may actually melt your system. Not sure if that's true, but Scare Tactics aside,
Melt. Okay, then.
don't pirate. Pirating sucks.
The guys are still snooping around the Epic Games network when they stumble upon a very unsettling email. Epic Games has called the FBI because of the leak, but it seems the feds are not onto them yet. David is freaking out. He asks Justin to help him crypt his hard drives. Sanad decides to lay low and wait for things to calm down. Dylan, however, doesn't care about the FBI. He keeps logging into the servers, while the feds are actively scanning them to find the hackers. His ballsiness pays
Easy
off.
then.
Dylan finds a USB drive connected to the network, and on that drive he finds a list of all the company's important access credentials. Dylan now has full access to Epic's network. From that point on, he logs into the network every single day. He roams around the PCs of Epic employees and taps their webcams. He sits at his computer in Australia and watches them in real time while they move around the office or sit in meetings. He mostly exploits human errors. He searches data breaches for login credentials and then tries them on other sites. Eventually, he manages to also hack into the network of other companies. Dylan is on a serious hacking spree. David and Sanad find out what he is doing and jump back in. They just can't resist. One by one, they hack the networks of tech giants like Microsoft, EA, Bungie, Blizzard, Valve, and Activision. They keep digging deeper and deeper, downloading more and more unreleased games. It's like a fever dream. The guys have been hacking their way
So
through
they're not making any money.
the gaming industry for
What's the point then?
almost a year now. From time to time, they're also making money off of it. David starts
Okay,
selling the
fair
jacked and
enough.
unreleased games to a user called Xbox Dev Guy. The contact is established via Justin. But deep down, they're still just a bunch of gaming fans. They invite their friends over to show their new video games. They never reveal where they get them from. They're a small and tight-knit group, but they can't always keep the excitement to themselves. So every now and then, word gets out to the wider scene. And every time that happens, new people want in on the action. 2 new faces join the group. Austin Alcala is a 16-year-old high school student from McCordsville, Indiana. He's tall, rather shy and reserved. Online, he goes by AA Monkey. The second newbie is Nathan LaRue, an 18-year-old from Bowie, Maryland. His dad works as a diesel mechanic, and his mom is busy homeschooling him. Nathan has written a program to fake FIFA coins and dreams of becoming a proper game developer someday. Online, he calls himself Anime Freak. The group expands their hacking activities, and their virtual break-ins move further and further away from gaming. AMD,
That's
Intel,
hilarious.
Disney, Warner Brothers, and Google. They end up infiltrating the servers of almost 25 companies, all of them major corporations.
Guys, Monday, Tuesday, खुलने के लिए.
You don't want to mess with the
A late
big
summer evening in
companies.
2012, Austin and Nathan are poking around the servers of Zombie Studios, a developer known for war games like the Spec Ops series. They discover a tunnel that leads them straight to a US military server. The drives host a new game Zombie Studios is working on, AH-64D, Apache Simulator, a flight simulator commissioned by the US Department of Defense. They hesitate. This is bigger than anything they have found so far, and much more dangerous. Curiosity ends up getting the best of them, and they download the game. The group is at its peak. They've been active for over 2 years. They've gone places no one else could. David, Dylan, Sanad, Austin, and Nathan have become the core of the group. Others are loosely involved in individual hacks. Altogether, there are almost a dozen strong now. They're aware that everything that they have done could already land them in jail. But they just can't stop.
Enjoying it.
They joke about what they would call their gang in prison. Xbox Underground sounds pretty badass, they think. They laugh at the idea, but not for much longer. Justin, aka MTW, was an early member of the group. He met David when he bought the Xbox 360 dev kit from him a few years ahead of the Epic Games hack. Justin was directly involved in many of their operations. A few days before Gears of War 3 was leaked, Justin got the game from the others in the group. Some of them, like Sanad, suspected that he was the one who put it online. Justin is almost 3 years older than David, but compared to him, he's a lot less cautious. In 2010, Justin attends PAX East, a video game convention in Boston. He gets calls from Sanad and a few others in the group. They ask him if he can hack into one of the networks on site. Maybe he'll find something interesting. No big deal if not. Justin gives it a try, but doesn't find a breach to exploit. The network is too secure. He's not ready to give it up though. He walks around the convention center and finds the stand of a small developer called Atomic Games. They're showcasing a new shooter called Breach. Justin waits until one of the employees heads to the bathroom. Then he sneaks behind the stand and secretly tries to download the game onto his laptop. But the employee comes back sooner than expected. At just
Yeah, he just makes huge mistake.
14 megabytes, Justin has to cancel the download and make a run for it. 2 Atomic employees chase after him and quickly catch him. They take him to the police. During the arrest, Justin tries to bribe the officers. He offers them $100 if they let him go. During the interrogation, he openly admits he was trying to steal the game. He repeatedly tells the cops that he has names of people bigger and more important than himself. When the others hear about the arrest, they get suspicious. What if Justin has been talking to the cops? He loses their trust.
Snitching.
He disappears
and
for a while, but eventually gets back in touch, trying to regain their trust. Now he is scamming companies like Cisco, Microsoft, and Lenovo with a return fraud scheme.
maybe he's wired.
Someone like that couldn't possibly be working with the cops. Some in the group, like David and Dylan, are thinking. Others, like Sanad, remain skeptical. After some time, Justin manages to get back on board. Back to August 2012, David and Dylan are poking around Microsoft servers. They come across a folder that seems pretty well protected. Looks like only a few developers have access to it. Maybe the company is working on some super secret project, they think. They download the folder and find a bunch of technical documents. Some pics of circuit boards and casings, source code, all that kind of stuff. They wonder what all of this could be for, and they quickly piece it together. They found the plans for the upcoming Xbox console, codename Durango. It'll later be called the Xbox One. They ponder what to do with the plans. They could sell them to others, or they could try to build the console themselves. All parts seem to be available on the market. They order the parts online and have everything shipped to Nathan's house. He volunteers to assemble the gaming console, and it works. The group now has a working prototype of the new Xbox, but no games to test it with, so they decide to sell it. They find a buyer in the Seychelles who is willing to pay $5,000. The buyer transfers the money, and the group discusses who is going to ship the console to him. Justin steps up. He offers to take it to the post office. The group agrees. Justin drives from Delaware to Bowie, about a 2-hour ride, and picks up the console at Nathan's place. But the package never makes it to the Seychelles. They start to get nervous. What if the FBI has intercepted the package? After the sale falls through, Dylan decides to upload the pictures of their prototype online, just to see what happens. He doesn't consult with the others. That means the Xbox prototype is now seemingly publicly up for auction on eBay. By now, Dylan is already known for his impulsive actions. In early 2012, he got drunk, called Epic Games, and confessed to hacking their servers. He explained to the employees over the phone how he did it and asked for a poster as a reward. He actually got one. This time, things get even worse. The eBay auction goes viral. In no time, bids reach over $20,000. But the sale doesn't go through because Microsoft files a copyright claim. Dylan, who set up the auction under his online name, Superday, starts giving online interviews.
We have someone who's gotten pretty
I
world-renowned
don't know, they could just copyright.
over the past couple of
Seller.
weeks here. I'm just gonna go straight to the chase here. His name is Dylan. Most people probably know him by his moniker Superday. He's gotten himself into a little bit of trouble with Microsoft and I guess he's taking the hacking community by storm. Dylan, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Sanad and David are pissed at Dylan. Really pissed. After leaving traces all over the internet, this kind of attention is the last thing they need. David cuts off all ties with Dylan. The only ones even more pissed are the people at Microsoft. The investigation picks up speed. Just weeks after the auction, the FBI raids Nathan's, aka Anime Freak's, house and arrest him. Sanad Nishayawat, aka Sonic, tries to distance himself from the group, but his house gets raided too. He sends a copy of the search warrant to others in the group, including Dylan. Dylan then posts the name of the agents who raided Sanad's house online. He publicly threatens to send hitmen after them. a statement
Okay.
he later regrets. In February 2013,
That is not good.
Dylan Wheeler,
You'll probably add up to the chance.
also known as Super Day, is finally arrested by Australian authorities. Austin has learned from Nathan how to fake FIFA coins and turned it into a business. Justin is involved in scams of his own. Both of them lay low for a while. David also keeps a low profile in Canada after he learns about the string of arrests. Well, at least until he gets a chance to snag an actual prototype of the new Xbox. David is at a concert when he gets a call from Austin. Austin tells him about an 18-year-old hacker named Armin, aka Armin the Cyber. Armin claims to have access to Microsoft Campus and offers them a deal. He will sneak in and steal a real Durango prototype in exchange for some Microsoft server credentials and a few $1,000s. David thinks Armin is nuts, but again, his curiosity gets the better of him and he agrees. At 9 p.m., Armin drives his car to Microsoft Campus. He's wearing a sweater with the company logo and carrying a big backpack. He has cloned some employee's access card and has no trouble getting in. The premises are enormous, but Armin knows his way around by now. For almost a year, he has been frequently sneaking into the buildings and dreaming of what it would actually be like to work there. He is a huge fan of Microsoft. He has even applied for a job, but has not heard back yet. Armin enters one of the office buildings. He's nervous, he's been there many times, but never to steal anything. There's still a few people around. Whenever he hears footsteps approaching, he hides. He eventually finds what he's looking for in one of the open plan offices on the 3rd floor. His hands are shaking as he stuffs 3 Xbox prototypes into his backpack. He sneaks out of the building, leaves the premises, and drives back home.
That easy. No cards.
He sends 2 of the consoles to David and Austin and keeps one for himself. Just a week after his break-in, Armin gets a call. It's Microsoft. They reviewed his application.
Obviously, there's camera line.
He's got the job. It's a dream come true. But only a couple of weeks later, Armin loses the job. Surveillance cameras have caught him stealing the prototypes. He's taken into custody.
Oh, this is so dumb, but
In January 2014, Austin Alcala, aka AA Monkey, is arrested at his house by 4 FBI agents. In March, David Pecora, Xenomega, gets arrested at the US border. David, Sanad, Austin, and Nathan stand trial together in the US. Meanwhile, on the other side of the globe, Dylan is also facing charges. The group is accused of identity theft, fraud, and conspiracy to steal millions of dollars worth of intellectual property. The indictment is extremely detailed. The FBI must have been building the case for a long time. There are chat logs and transcripts of personal conversations dating back to the first Epic Games hack in 2011. In court, prosecutors even play audio recordings that must have been secretly made during their hacking sessions.
But the funny thing is, I still have root access to all their computers because I signed in yesterday.
So he knowingly logs into Epic, knowing that that's still there.
What do you mean?
Like, he in the emails, like they were emailing FBI people, and he knows that they talk to each other, but he still manages to not care.
I have it to the US military. I have it to the Australian Department of Defense. I have every single big company. Intel, AMD, Nvidia, Google, Microsoft, Disney, Warner Brothers, everything.
The indictment repeatedly mentions Person A. Person A provided most of the evidence for the FBI. Person A allegedly helped David encrypt his hard drive and sell unreleased games to a user named Xbox Dev Guy. Person A is also said to have delivered a self-made prototype of the new Xbox to the FBI.
I get a copy of the indictment and I start reading about Person A from Wilmington, Delaware. We all only knew one person from Wilmington, Delaware. Justin.
All signs point to him being an informant of the FBI. Did he cut a deal with the police after the incident at the convention? Is that how he got away with all of his scams? No one knows for sure. The guys in the US plead guilty. They all have very different ways of coping with the conviction. David is cooperative. He helps the investigators understand how they bypass the systems of billion-dollar corporations. The officers are pretty impressed by the 23-year-old's skills. He spends 18 months in prison. After getting out, he finishes college and starts working for cybersecurity firms. Austin gets 3 years probation. He doesn't serve a single day in jail because he agrees to help the FBI with another fraud case involving fake FIFA coins. He later becomes the head of cybersecurity at a social media startup. Sanad serves the same sentence as David, 18 months. He too gets out,
Oh,
but
I
the
can-
following years are very hard on him. He starts working at a vape store and goes to college. But his probation officer bans him from using a computer and constantly harasses him.
Everything that I would ever ask her would always be a no.
Ban.
Like, for example, like I would want to go down and see, you know, my sister in Virginia or something, and it's no. You know, it could be, she would come up with the craziest reasons to why she wouldn't let me do anything.
Sanad became more and more isolated and eventually slips into depression. Seeing no prospects for himself, he turns to drugs. His probation officer sees this as a violation of his probation terms. She drags him before a judge, who sentences Sanad to another 9 months behind bars. In 2019, Sanad's probation for his second sentence ends, and for the first time in years, he's allowed to use a computer.
Okay.
He's now clean and living with his sister. Nathan is terrified of having to go to jail. He's one of the youngest in the group
Yeah, pretty minimum
and a
sentences
gentle
overall.
person. Of all of them, he was the least involved in the hacks. Nathan applies for bail until the verdict is final. He gets an ankle monitor and is allowed to stay with his parents. But the thought of what awaits him in prison eats him up. One day, he cuts off the ankle monitor and tries to flee. He pays a friend to drive him to the Canadian border, but the police catch him at the border checkpoint. Nathan panics. He jumps out of the car and runs across the bridge towards the border,
What is
but
he
the cops
doing?
catch him. He is desperate and considers jumping off the bridge. Then he pulls out a knife and injures himself until he collapses. He survives and is almost immediately taken back to jail, this time serving a 2-year sentence. Shortly before his
Okay,
release,
so perhaps
Nathan comes out as trans
in the problem done all that.
and is now Holly. The time in prison must have been awful. Just a year after their release, Holly takes their own life.
Oh, okay. That's pretty sad case.
In Australia, Dylan is the only one who pleads not guilty. This leads to a series of court cases that drag on for over 3 years.
I guess I pled not guilty to the sense that they tried to hit me with everything when it wasn't everything that I did. At the start, they put a lot of false charges on me.
Dylan is ordered to surrender his passport, but instead he heads to the airport and flies to the Czech Republic. He has Czech citizenship because his mother is from there. Shortly after, Dylan's mother is sentenced to 18 months in prison for aiding his escape. Dylan claims that his mother neither drove him to the airport nor sent him money.
Yeah, it's kind of the harsh reality of everything. You know, someone's got to go down for something.
Dylan moved to the UK, where he established a cybersecurity firm and gave talks on security-related topics.
I'm not hiding, because I'm not doing anything wrong. I did something when
Yes,
I was a
about
kid,
that.
when I was a teenager, an underage teenager. It was wrong. I learned from that.
In March 2020,
Yeah, some probably go on hiding
Dylan
then.
shuts down his company. There's been no trace of him since. In 2017, when almost all members of the Xbox Underground had served their sentences, the police finally arrest Justin May. The authorities seized a brand new BMW and nearly $40,000 in cash. In 2021, he was convicted of fraud, fencing, tax evasion, and money laundering. He was sentenced to almost 8 years in prison
Damn.
and fined $4 million.
4 million. Damn. Okay, just running the